just get some good ideas, some money-saving ideas. So we're going to talk about flooring and paint, blinds, and just bigger picture beyond that. And anyway, so before we get into it, thank you. So many of you are members. We appreciate you so much. And some of you might be new and you're watching on AOAUSA.com. And so we welcome you. There's a blue help button on the bottom right side there. And that's there to ask us questions, chat with us anytime, 8:30 to 5. But when we have live streams, we'll take questions there and they'll funnel those over to me. So that's a place that you can use as a chat for questions on this live stream. And then, of course, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or X, we just welcome you. And yeah, so before we get into this, our goal is to give you ideas that will help you make and or keep more money than ever before. And so we have forms, we have, you can call in. One thing I want to highlight, just as people are turning properties over, is just the instant criminal reports are not what they used to be because of the Fresh Start Act that took effect in 2023. There's been a massive change to the county criminal databases in many counties. You are able to screen people for criminal records in most places in California. Berkeley would be one that's not. You are able to do that, and you are able to decline people. And there's a duty of care doctrine where you should be screening people and you should be looking at their criminal background because you have that duty of care doctrine that you need to be thinking of all of your renters, keeping them safe. So we have a thing that we started last year, a search. It's called, we hired a private detective and his firm, they have a whole team of people. And like if it's LA, when we do a search, we do a skip trace. Every single county that comes up, it's like you're getting a single county criminal report for that, but that's just the criminal. You also get they're going to search the civil files as well. So that's going to show you evictions. It's going to show whether they've been litigious or not. It's going to show the civil misconduct, so like if there's been elder abuse, domestic violence, stalking, those things that you really can't have, you don't want in your multifamily, those things are going to show up on this report that we do for you. And anyway, it's real people doing it. It is not just a software program. There's real people involved. It can be returned in, pretty quickly if there's nothing there. But if there's something there, they're really looking at the tangible file. They're not just getting online. So it can take 3 days. In some places where it's crazy, it takes a little longer. But I just want to let you know that's Live Investigator. You do not need to run a site inspection for that. You just need to complete an end user agreement. So I just want to mention that one because honestly, I'll tell you, you'd be insane. You'd be insane not to use it, knowing how the instant criminal reports just don't cut it in California the way that they used to. And this is all regulation. It's not that our criminal report or company B, C, or D. It's not that the companies are bad. It's federal regulation on top of what's been done in the state by our leaders. So yeah, just hope that you get that message. I know so many people haven't heard that, so I want to take time to share that. All right, tomorrow in person, we have the San Diego Landlording Power Conference. That's free. It is already sold out. Even the free tickets are sold out. But yeah, that'll be awesome. Several speakers. If you signed up for it, please show up. If you didn't sign up, please don't come because there won't be a seat for you. On May 28th, we will be in Pasadena for a doubleheader with Michael Brennan, who is a landlord-tenant attorney, and he will be specifically talking about Measure H, which is specific to Pasadena. He'll also hit other stuff, more general stuff, but You might be disappointed if you only want to hear LA City RSO stuff. It's going to be more Pasadena and more just state, and he'll take questions afterwards. But anyway, doubleheader then. Dennis Block on the 29th. That will be a live stream. So 2 in-persons, 1 live stream just here in the next week or so. And anyway, really thankful today for Bell Properties. And they have grown so much. It has been incredible to see the growth that they've had just in the last few years. They've expanded to take on some of the, like LA City, some of the stuff in San Francisco. So they're covering all of California, I believe now, or maybe the major metropolitan areas. And they are specialized in multifamily, affordable housing, commercial assets. And anyway, they're able to tailor what they do to fit their customers' needs. And yeah, just the word that comes to my mind is faithful from what I've seen. And, we have a lot of members that use them. If any of you are having an issue, let us know, but we haven't gotten complaints on them yet. So all that's good. So, and anyway, from Bell Properties, we is our speaker, and he's a seasoned leader in property management. He's overseen over 2,800 units. So I don't know how many units the whole company is overseeing. That might be 2,800, but crazy number of units, 17 years of experience. That's 17 times thousands instead of 17 times 4 units. So that's a lot of experience. And he's known for improving operations, boosting performance, driving long-term success, streamlining things for both residential and commercial. So it really is a pleasure to have James Davis with us. So James, I'll let you take it away, man.
Today we're going to talk about flooring, we're going to talk about paint, we're going to talk about blinds. And before we get into those things, I think we need to lay some groundwork. So the operations of running 3,000 units are different than the operations of running 2 units or 4 units or whatever. So there's a couple of variables that I think are really important to call out in the beginning of this conversation. So the first one for me is who is doing the work. So sometimes that's an in-house maintenance team, sometimes factor, and some of us, if you come from some of the places that I come from, sometimes you're down there doing the work yourself, hands-on, installing the floor. You're at Home Depot or whatever, purchasing the supplies. The next thing I think is really important to call out is unit counts. So if you've got a smaller unit count, anything less than 10, you're going to get away with doing things a little differently than somebody who has 20 units or 40 units or 3,000 units. So there are different purchasing opportunities for product in some of those smaller unit counts. The other thing I want to dial in on is turnover in units. If your standard lease is month to month, you're going to have a different turnover cycle, a turnover experience than other people. If you're in a college or university town, you're going to have, you're going to be on that college cycle. People are moving out for the summers, maybe they're coming back in the fall. So that's going to change your turnover time and your turnover schedule. Unit type is going to be another important one. Are you market rent? Are you an affordable unit? That's going to change that perspective. And the last one I really want to call out is what we call a return to zero standard. So what does my unit have to look like before someone moves in? And is there a standard there? Creating that standard for paint finish, floors, scuffs, etc. Having that standard is going to help inform all of these decisions, particularly if you've got a smaller unit count. You're not going to say to yourself, well, do do I replace that floor this renter? Do I try to get one more renter out of it? You're going to be able to kind of have some standards in place so that you're always providing a consistent product. Um, and the biggest piece of the return to zero standards for our team is the move out inspection. And another one is the pre-move out inspection. So when the resident gives notice 30 days in advance before moving out, that's the time to inspect the unit, find out, make those decisions about drywall, paint, doors, floors, blinds, while before that resident has even moved out. So you can have those things on hand and turn that unit. So one of our standards is to turn a unit within 10 days to have it ready for the next resident. Of course, if you've got a duplex, if you're owning and managing self-managing a duplex, maybe that 10 days isn't reasonable for you, but it is a meaningful metric to set that deadline and say, I want to have this unit ready by this time, and just kind of hold yourself to that standard. So with those called out, with those variables called out, and as we talk through vinyl and paint and blinds, you may have some questions specifically at your unit count, but a lot of these decisions are based on that. So go ahead and type those questions in as we go so that we can answer them at the end for the Q&A. So let's start with vinyl flooring. The biggest piece that we run into in vinyl flooring is the click and lock systems. A lot of places are using the click and lock systems for the LVP. And the only problem with the click and lock systems is that you'll start to see them shift over the years. And if you've managed properties for any amount of time, you've seen in between residents move out, and you're down there like kicking the planks back into place. I think we've all done that, and that's fine as long as you can get it back in place. However, the glue down methods, I think, are they're easier to replace a single plank within the floor. The click and lock, you really can't do that. I mean, you can shave off the tongue end of one side and pop it back in, but you got to glue it back down anyway. So I really do recommend the glue single plank kind of method, and nothing thinner than 16 mil. You don't want to you want to put in something decent. Cost breakdowns, you might be looking somewhere between $250 a square foot installed, maybe as much as $5 a square foot, depending on your relationships and how many units you have, what relationship you have with that contractor. You can usually secure some bulk pricing that way. The thing that the pro tip, if you will, is to buy 10% more than you need. And I know that if you're in a tight position, you're trying to secure every dollar of the investment, that buying 10% more can seem like a stretch that's not worth it. However, when you need to replace a single plank and you're 3 years down the road and you're thinking about, do I need to replace this entire floor? But actually, it's really just these couple of planks in the kitchen or these couple of planks in the entryway where we get a ton of traffic. Having that 10% more stored somewhere is really going to help you limit that, oh, dang it, I've got to replace this entire floor now. So that's what we're looking at for vinyl flooring. With all of these, depending on your unit count, one of the places that I've found to get some flooring like that are places like the Restore, the Habitat for Humanity Restore. It's a organization that has a bunch of supplies. And if you've got 2, 3, 4 units, you can kind of get away with doing some of that stuff either secondhand, or the restore has a lot of new material too, at price points that are different than your local big box store. So that's one tip I like to call out. Interior paint. So this is always a fun one because of the potential disaster that it can be. So you ever walk into an apartment building or whatever, and you're like, oh, someone definitely hung a picture there previously. And the thing that calls it out the easiest is the finish of the paint. They touched up the paint with flat instead of eggshell, and you notice that right out the gate. So a lot of this for me is about defining systems. So I'm going to say all of our paint is eggshell finish, period. If I have the opportunity to make that choice, I'm going to make that choice as the standard. And I'm also going to standardize the colors. So if you're in a partnership, you co-own properties with somebody else, and somebody really wants to like go all the way and make every single unit look like the home and feel like a home. You've got accent walls everywhere. That's where I think you can really run into some trouble as far as the standardization of the entire thing. I've seen it as far as apartment complexes saying we paint all of our units this one color. It's always this one color, and that allows you to purchase again in bulk. You're purchasing 5-gallon buckets as opposed to a gallon at a time. And then that's sitting in a storage unit so that you've got it handy when you need to do your turns. As far as colors and brands, I think it's worth it to spend the money on the.
Think it, you froze there. I don't know if it's just me or, oh, we lost you there for 1 second. All right. Hey, James, are you there? Okay, now I see you. Everything
Did we
froze.
get back?
Yeah,
Okay.
it just kind of froze and went away there. I'm not, so last thing, I think you talked about standardizing paint, and we'll just let you
Okay.
keep going from there.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
And
you were
then
just
note,
about to mention the brand, I think.
sure. Yeah. Make sure you're priming before you're painting, and make sure you're always priming before you're painting. Whatever that standard is. Hey, you might say we never prime, and instead we put on 3 coats. Like we believe that that's the technique internally that we get the best finish on. Whatever that standard is, just make sure you're consistent with that standard and you live up to that standard across the board so that all of the units are consistent that way. As far as brands, colors, neutral colors, I think probably all of us are on the same page there, to utilize neutral colors in investment properties, and then go ahead, Sherwin-Williams, Behr, using some of those brand names is going to give you more consistency.
Now with that, which for you guys specifically, which colors are you using specifically?
And that's where things get, Jeff, that's where things get so interesting because the portfolio is such a range. And when owners come to us, they've got the property typically painted in whatever format. So it's our standard to kind of to do our best to match what's there. and then adjust it if I'm going to paint a if I'm going to repaint, for example, a bedroom that's got an accent wall, I'm going to repaint the entire bedroom back to something neutral. Um, Same thing with paint as with floors. Buy extra, have it on hand, notate the colors in your property management software or wherever you're keeping those details so that you can refer back to them. It could even be, just a property binder that you have. These are the colors we use. These are the standards we use. It can be something very simple. It doesn't have to. Um, it doesn't have to be a Yardi system or anything like that. Into blinds. So typically it's 2 inch. Um, the the ones that look like wood but aren't wood, and we all know what those look like, um, and that's one of the things that I'm looking for when I'm doing unit inspections, because especially from a curb appeal standpoint, if you've got blinds in your living room and it faces the street, and those blinds at any point during the resident's time there, those blinds get ripped up, or if you've got kids or pets who are looking through the blinds every day, eventually you're going to have a blind that's a slat that's broken. Um, to actually replace those in the moment, and if you've got the opportunity to charge those back to the resident in the moment. One of the philosophies, like one of my personal investment philosophies, is to treat the property like it's always for sale. And that allows us to keep a standard um, that isn't, uh, I guess that aligns more with, this is someone's home. I want it to look nice. I want them to have a good experience here, and just kind of setting that standard that way. Uh, I prefer to do cordless blinds when possible for a couple of reasons. Number one, there's of course a safety issue if there are children in the home, and a lot of our residents do have children, so we're trying to be careful about that. Um, Inside mount when I can. I just think it looks cleaner. It looks cleaner in photos, marketing photos. Makes the rooms look bigger. It's a really tiny detail that can help us go to the next level. And then no specialty color blinds. You're going white, you're going off white, and you're always going white or off white. I would say pick one and roll with it across all of your units, to keep it consistent, and so that you aren't trying to match blinds while you're if you're the person doing the work yourself, that you're not trying to say, oh, has that property got white blinds, or what does it have, um, while you're sitting there at Home Depot. Uh, Cost wise, I think we're talking somewhere between $18-$35, somewhere in there, depending on the size. Bulk discounts, of course, are available if you're using um, a supplier who does it in bulk. These I don't usually keep extras on hand. It's kind of like, as I need them, I'll replace them. But um, I will keep an eye out on, oh, I know I've got 10 turnovers coming up, and it's a sale right now. It's a Memorial Day sale or whatever. I'm gonna pick it up for all 10 of those units um, before I actually need them. So that's a place to go as well. And then whoever's installing, make sure you've got those measurements right. Make sure you know if you're inside mounting or if you're mounting on the outside, and keep the same systems for those so that you aren't drilling multiple holes season after season, renter after renter into the framing of those windows. Those are the big pieces for um, keeping it looking clean overall. Um, to reiterate some final thoughts, standardization is not boring. It's actually profitable. So stick with your standards. Um, you don't have to do you don't have to do too much. You just have to think it through once and then continue to follow that system. And I think that goes for all of these floors, blinds, paint, like have a process. Um, Make sure you're grabbing measurements during your pre-move out inspection so that you're not doing this each time on like it's the first time. You've got the information stored somewhere, um, that we're storing excess in a dry, preferably climate controlled location so that the supplies are good when we go to pull them out. Um, for the for the move in move out inspections, videos usually are too fast and they aren't useful. Um, so the picture format, even though the video feels faster, the picture format is actually sometimes more reliable in that regard.
Mhm.
And then, a big piece of this is scaling your decisions. So if it's not a decision that you can repeat over and over again, then you it might not be a decision that is aligned with the actual profitability of having these things dialed in.
Wow, thank you so much. That's great
Of
news,
course.
great information. Um, and we do have some questions here for sure. And I'll start off on for the blinds. Where do you purchase blinds from? I know you're buying in bulk and everything, but just
Yeah, yeah. I honestly don't have that answer for you. That's largely done by our maintenance department. But I
okay,
will say when for my property specifically, it typically is a big box, Menards, etc. store.
gotcha. All right. Again, thank you so much. And guys, I don't know why I failed to mention the free AOA $1 million trade show that's coming up. It's coming up on August 20th. And so if you are a member, it's free. If you're a non-member, it's free. Bring your friends, and it will be at the Long Beach Convention Center. And I'm curious, are you guys planning on going to that one? Here, put you in the hot seat a little
Oh
bit.
yeah, you did kind of put me in the hot seat, but I know we attended last year, right? I would
Yeah,
be shocked if we didn't attend again.
right. Yeah. So they were there last year. And anyway, so there'll be a lot of different vendors there, covering all types of all fields. And a lot of them are raffle off like a, $100 Amazon gift card or other things. We're also going to be raffling off the 5-day vacation or cruise for two at every main state, keynote seminar. We'll be doing that, and then the Apple Watch at the end. So hopefully you can make that. And we're going to cover. There's going to be a few different things there. We are going to have an expert in the midterm rentals that's coming, so that should be interesting. And we're going to have a panel, and that'll be pretty interesting as well. In addition to the normal Dennis Block, Michael Brennan, and the others that you've grown to appreciate. So anyway, we're going to get into the questions here. We have Paul. What kind of flooring do you recommend for bathrooms? Great question.
Yeah, largely we're going tile in the bathrooms. It's a small enough space and it's an easy space to kind of upscale your unit. Um, and I think, they say kitchen and bath sells homes. I think kitchens and baths also rent properties in a lot of regards. So it's an opportunity, and a lot of times the the unit photos that people are using, they're actually using to show their friends about this new apartment they found, and
Mhm.
to be able to send a link to a friend, and that friend say, "Oh, I really like the flooring in that bathroom," is almost as good as the sale, or as good as the rental application. And so that's we're largely going tile when we can.
All right, Miss Kimmy's classroom. Since you're speaking on repairing flooring, blinds, and paint, do you have any tips for replacing doors economically? We're running into about $1,000 per door installed.
Yeah, the first question is, are you replacing the door, or are you replacing the door and the frame? A lot of times I think you can replace the door, and that's where I think you can save some money going to a place like a Restore, Habitat for Humanity Restore, or a local salvage yard if you're in a big enough community that has materials like that. Um, those are the places that I would go to. Make sure you're taking the measurements, make sure you're looking at left swing, right swing, and going with those details. But a lot of times you can replace the door without replacing everything.
Great, all right. So Tish, always worried about installing vinyl flooring to upstairs units because it will be noisy day to day for downstairs tenants. Is there a recommendation for cushioning? I'm so glad she brought that up because that's a whole nother deal.
Absolutely. The underlayment of the cushioning is really important. A lot of times, too, if you've got hallways in your second floor, third floor units, that's an opportunity to actually lay down carpet. I find that that's the area kids are going to be running back and forth up and down the hallway, because that hallway is the longest stretch in the apartment usually. So that's another opportunity too, is to be careful about what you lay down in a second or third floor.
All right. Scott, are prime and paint in same can also need to prime before using these type paint? Okay, I'm not sure if I'm understanding the question. Oh, sometimes they have a paint or primer, it's all the same. Like it's a combo one maybe. So before using these types of paint. So can you use a one that's a combo first, I guess is the question. A painter primer, one that's a primer and a painter all together in one. Can you use that first?
Yes, I think you can use, some of those combo products um, in the process. In theory, you're gonna end up using more of it, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a thing to be aware of before you get into it, and then make sure you're continuing that method going forward.
All right, Deborah, what are some of the preferred colors to use? So it's a neutral color, but what's a preferred one? A couple
Yeah,
of yeah.
yeah, the white and the beige are definitely the places to go. I it, if you've got, like a laundry room, for example, I would try not to use a white in a laundry room. That's going to it's going to get scuffed up. It's going to wear faster than if you use a shade darker, a light gray or a light beige.
Mhm. Okay, Trish. Aren't cordless blinds the only type available these days?
They should be. They should be.
Yeah, they very well may be outlawed here in California. Okay, Kevin, do you buy kitchen cabinets for low-income apartment buildings? What brand and height toilet do you? Oh, he's got two questions. So the cabinets.
Yeah, it sounds like we're talking about units at quantity. No, I'm always going to go something mid-grade in something like cabinets, unless it is intended to be a higher end property. A lot, I've seen a lot of tax credit properties that are, granite and upper level cabinets, and yeah, I guess I don't have a brand off the top of my head for you, but something mid level is usually what we're going for.
Great. And what brand and height toilet do you recommend? Asking everything. Next is we'll get the kitchen sink in here to finish it up.
I can't wait. The the height of the toilet, we're not buying the short toilets anymore.
Okay.
Brand are the ones, go ahead and spend the money on those toilets. They're going to be in there for a long time, hopefully, and it's worth the money on that.
Great. And final question, I think final question, guys, if you have another one, you got to be quick to get it in because we're going to wrap up. Do you have any recommendations for curtains?
My recommendation for curtain is to not. Because now curtain rods are fair game. Let the resident put up their own curtains, but generally speaking, we're not going to put curtains in.
All right. Great. Well, hey, I really appreciate the time that you spent with us here on this. And hopefully, I think there's a lot of really good ideas there to help people save money. And, buying that little extra, hopefully that's a tip everybody picked up. And, whether it's the the flooring or the paint. So hopefully they pick that tip up and the restore, the Habitat for Humanity. That's a good tip. Um, and you guys, why don't you write out what just in the chat, you can put whatever you got and please share it with other people. And maybe we'll see you in San Diego, maybe we'll see you in Pasadena, or maybe we'll see you in Long Beach and on August 20th. But either way, hope you have a blessed day. And for you as well, James, thank you so much. We appreciate the time that you spent with us here. And also thank you to Bell Properties for making it possible.